Hey everyone, it's Mr. Fink doing commonly confused words part 2. All right, so our first one is whose with an apostrophe S versus whose without the apostrophe S. As you can see from the graphic there, they give you a nice little description. It says whose with the apostrophe S is a contraction of either who is or who has, and whose without the apostrophe S is a possessive of who. And I think that's where the confusion comes in, is usually if you're showing possession, you put an apostrophe S. But for this case, it is not the case. So it's kind of flip flop. So that's why I think people get a little screwed up on this. You can see some examples right there. Who's free next weekend? Who is free? If you stretch it out, I don't know who's coming to dinner. Excuse me, I don't know who's coming. I don't know who is coming. So if you just spread that word out and expand it into its actual words instead of the contraction, then you'll probably be able to figure this out. It's pretty easy and straightforward. So what I'd like you to do, and I'm going to have you do this after each slide, is I want you to write two separate sentences. One, a total of four, actually. So two sentences that are using the who with the apostrophe S and whose without the apostrophe. Okay, so do that right now, please. All right, moving on, we have accept and accept. Accept with an A, accept with an E. On the left, you'll see the one with an A means to believe, to receive, or to say yes. You accept facts. You believe them. You accept a package from a delivery person. You accept when you say, I accept the job or the position. Okay, so all of those would be accept with an A. And the other one is accept with an E is saying, I like all of these things except this, or all of these things are true except this. And there's one thing, or maybe a group of things that would not fall into the category that you're using. Okay, so it's easier probably to learn the E word, except, because it's only one definition versus the other except, which is the A. So once again, go ahead and write two sentences for each form of the word except. Next one, we have among versus between. And I have two different sort of pop culture references on this one. Many of us, myself included, have played the game Among Us on our phones. And the other one is a YouTube show that I don't believe is on anymore, but it used to be on, called Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis from the movie The Hangover. So Among Us, there's a large group of people in the game. Okay, probably anywhere from maybe 6 to 10 usually. Okay, and between two ferns, there's only two ferns. There's only two plants on that screen there with that Zach Galifianakis. Zach Galifianakis. I had a hard time with his last name. So what the difference between you when you use the word among versus between? Between, there are only two things when you're choosing between, and if you look, the word between has a TW in the middle, and the word to starts with a TW. So you have a TW in both of those words. So between is always with two things. So if you're in an ice cream parlor and you're just deciding between two different flavors, that's what you're deciding is. There's only two choices. It's vanilla or it's chocolate. Okay, but a good ice cream parlor and every other one under the sun is going to have more than one. So you're going to be choosing among the different flavors. Okay, so it's all about the number of things that you're choosing from. Among is more than two, and between is two. Okay, so write those two sentences for each right now. All right, next one is one that we all struggle with, myself included. And I think that the reason we struggle with this is because we were told to do it one way, and then we sort of are unsure, and when do we use it, and when do we not? Now, the explanation for when to use good versus well, it's a grammatical explanation, which I'm not really a grammar person, but between these two things, I used the one from before, that's the only explanation that I can come up with. So the times that you use good, it says good modifies things. Good is an adjective. It's modifying a noun. Well is an adverb. It's going to modify actions. It's going to modify verbs. Okay, so there's some, as that little gray box says, we do tend to use them interchangeably, but they're really not. That shouldn't be the way we use them. So, you know, you could say, well, Mr. Fink, I would know the difference, or I would know when to use them. Okay, that may be well and good. I just use well again. Um, but why do we use them in certain situations? So it says, the food is good. Okay, I'm describing the food, so it's an adjective. So I'm using good. Now it wouldn't sound right to say the food is well. You know that, and I know that, but that's the reason why is because it's an adjective. She feels well. Maybe she, whoever she was, wasn't feeling good. Maybe she was feeling sick. She was feeling sick, and now she feels better. Third one, she feels well because she eats good food. So kind of combining those two sentences. And even that sentence underneath there says, good luck. Now you'll use well. So again, you're using it well. That's an adverb. So you got to use the word well. You're describing your luck. So that's good. So therefore, you're using the adjective, which is good. So like I said, this one's one of the trickier ones in this little series of commonly confused words. So take a minute or two, write down 2 sentences using good and 2 sentences using well, both correctly. Here's one that I think it's really comes down to people being lazy, unfortunately. We have already being 2 words versus already 1 word. And it's pretty simple. I found this little graphic on Google. Already with 2 words means everyone is ready. All people are ready. You're about to go out. You're about to start a game or start a concert or practice or who knows. All ready. All are ready. Already with 1 word means something happened before, happened in the past. I've already made up my vocabulary test. I already ate lunch. I already went to see that movie. Whatever it might be, it happened before. It happened in the past. So again, I think this is pretty easy. I think it's just a little bit of we're rushing through things when we do this incorrectly. So once again, just take a couple minutes, 2 sentences for each one of those words, please. All right, our next one is also a tricky one. So this one is the difference between the words inferred and implied. You're probably thinking to yourself, Mr. Fink, I never use either one of these words. Well, they are used a lot, and a lot of people use them incorrectly. Now they're similar, and that's why I think people get screwed up. So I have like this little graphic here, and it says infer and imply both are related to indirect information, something that you don't know directly, someone is telling you, but they approach this meaning from 2 different angles. So if you're using the word infer, it says infer is a verb. Well, if you go to the other side, imply is also a verb, so that doesn't help. Go back to the infer side. It says it means to conclude something from evidence or facts, whereas imply says it means to express something indirectly. So here's an example. So let's say if I tell you in class, please take a note of this. You're going to see this later on. I haven't directly said that this is going to pop up on a test later on, but you can infer, you can conclude from my evidence or facts that I'm going to give you a quiz on this later on. Okay. Another example, you express to your parents that you want something, you want the newest whatever item, and you say to your parents, my birthday's coming up soon, and something I really would like. You're not actually flat out asking them to buy this for you for your birthday, but they can infer from all the facts that they're making a conclusion that you want this. Okay. Now, what you did when you said that is you're implying that you want it. You're not flat out saying it. You're just kind of hinting at. It says expressing something indirectly. Okay. So, as the example I gave before, I didn't come out and say it's going to be on a test, but I implied that it was. Okay, so there's a couple examples. There's 5 actually on each side there, but let's just do the first 2 on each side. It says, what do you infer from her refusal? So somebody refused to do something. What is the conclusion that you're making? You may infer from from his remarks the implications. So someone is presenting something and then you are inferring, you're concluding from their remarks. Now the examples for imply, what do you imply by that statement? You're not coming out and saying it, but you're hinting at it. Second one, does this not imply that all teachers should engage in research? This does not imply that all teachers should engage in research. It's not indirectly saying it, and this person is saying it does not imply this. So this one's really, really tricky. So if you have trouble with this, I would not, be hard on yourself because it is tricky. But see if you can give me 2 examples of infer and 2 sentence examples of imply. And here is our last one, and that is another easy one. I think we'll end with an easy one. Past versus past. Past with an ST and past with 2 S's and an ED. So past with an ST on the end of it is most likely, it says they're used as a noun or an adjective to talk to history, something that's happened prior, the past. And the other one with the 2 S's and an ED is something that has already happened or has traveled by, passed you by. So we're talking about a verb versus past in terms of a noun with the AST. So if you said you passed the class, then we're talking about the one on the right with an PASSED. Okay, you have traveled through the class. Okay, and you've passed it. Okay, if someone passed you on the highway, if you were driving, or you're a passenger in the car, versus these events happened in the past, then we're talking about the left side. All right, so that is it, and you can write those sentences and post that on our Canvas page, and you'll be done. Thanks so much.